President, it's my understanding that in a short period of time, we'll be voting on the continuing resolution. Continuing resolution has now been passed in the House. It's been delivered over to the Senate. This maintains our government operations for the next 2 months. I have been a person that has expressed my frustration that we've not taken up the vast majority of the appropriation bills, even in committee. It's my understanding that even as of today, 9 of the 12 appropriation bills have not even been discussed in committee, and all 12 of those bills should have been done by September the 30th. We're now well past that now. September the 30th, we passed a continuing resolution that went until tomorrow. Now we're passing another one that's going to go into February. As I read through it as it just came over from the House of Representatives and was scanning quickly through it when they actually released the language in it this morning, I was interested to be able to see a couple of things that popped out to me, in particular, serving on the Homeland Security Committee. Serving that position in Homeland Security and some of the issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis and an oversight, I was fascinated to see 2 particular areas that popped out to me in this. One of them was dealing with unaccompanied minors. The administration earlier this year took some of the COVID money that had been allocated in March and used that COVID money dealing with unaccompanied minors. We've yet to get a full accounting of how much that was, but then when the continuing resolution was passed just September the 30th, $2.5 billion with a B, $2.5 billion additional dollars were allocated just to deal with the surge of unaccompanied minors for this year. Well, that was a few months ago now. This continuing resolution is allocating another $1.5 billion to unaccompanied minors. So they took, we don't know how much money on the COVID money for unaccompanied minors, and then if this bill passes tonight, which I assume it will at this point, it's another $4 billion just in the unaccompanied minors. May I remind you how large of a figure that is, of additional $4 billion? Before we lose track of that, what jumped out at me first when I went through this was a surprising number. In the continuing resolution that just came over from the House just minutes ago, there is a request for an additional $7 billion for Afghan refugees. And when you say, okay, I understand, in the September 30th continuing resolution, there was $6 billion for Afghan refugees that were there. That is $13 billion for Afghan refugees. The best that we can tell, we have 69,000 Afghan refugees that are in the process, and we're allocating $13 billion for it. Now, we all thought, and we had the conversation here, that $6 billion that was allocated was an enormous amount of money that was allocated. But now, 3 months after the refugees started being able to move out of Afghanistan in that debacle of a withdrawal that happened, now we're talking about not $6 billion, but $13 billion. That's around $200,000 per person so far. If that was not bad enough, in the continuing resolution done September the 30th, because of the enormous size of this amount of money, and because of how little information has actually come to this body, there was a demand in it that by November the 30th, that was 2 days ago, the Department of Homeland Security would have to turn over a report of actually what's happening with the Afghan refugees. Has anyone in this body read that report from DHS now on how they're handling the Afghan refugees? I would go ahead and preemptively answer no, because none of us have seen the report yet. Here's what we don't know, but yet this body demanded in the last CR to be able to get from DHS. We demanded to know crazy things like this: the number of lawful U.S. permanent residents that were evacuated out of Afghanistan. We don't have that number yet. We don't know how many were special immigrant visa holders. We don't know how many were actually applicants for special immigrant visas. We don't know the number that had any other immigrant status. We don't know the number who actually worked for our government that was actually evacuated. We've not been told, though we demanded it, to have it by November the 30th. We don't know the number of people that work for a partner government or any other entity that we were affiliated with, though we asked for that. We don't know the number of people that actually came through the process, then were later determined to be security threats to the United States that had slipped through the process. We asked for that. We asked for that to come in by November the 30th. That's not been turned over. We asked for the number of people that were getting parole, that their parole was then terminated because of some other criminal activity or something else. We asked for that. That's a number they have. They've not turned that number over. We asked for even the number of interviews that had been conducted. We've yet to receive that. In fact, there has not been a single public hearing in the Senate on Afghan refugees. Not one. So not only have we not received anything in writing, we've not even received any testimony from anyone from DHS on this. Listen, we gave DHS $6 billion and said, we're going to allocate this money to you. We just want to know who we're allocating it to and what it's going to be used for. That doesn't seem unreasonable. But not only is this body not holding DHS accountable for not answering our questions, we're handing them $7 billion more tonight. Does anyone else see this as an issue? I'm all for keeping the government open, but this body has a responsibility of oversight. We've pretended we're doing oversight, but we're actually not doing oversight. Not a hearing, not a report, nothing. $13 billion. So yes, I'm going to oppose the CR tonight. I'm not holding up the vote. I understand full well the responsibility of all 100 of us to put ourselves on the record. But if we're going to actually say we're going to do oversight, let's actually do oversight. And it is not unreasonable when we all agree these are the facts and figures that should come from DHS to just tell us what's going on with the Afghan refugees, that we actually expect they're going to turn those things over. So in the days ahead, I hope we'll actually hold a hearing and actually get the facts. I hope we'll actually demand that they turn over to us what we've required to turn over to them, and I hope we get full accounting of how they're spending $13 billion on what we understand was 69,000 people, most of which have not even been moved in and across the United States yet. $13 billion. With that, I yield the floor.